Robert's movement is very uniquely him.
He certainly has a style, but I've never seen it anywhere else.
I feel like the range of movement, the style of movement, is so broad and much more vast than any other choreographer I've worked with or any other company that I've been in.
He has this like limitless, endless pool of movement, I guess, going on in his head that like at any moment he's just able to, say, oh, well, okay, do this and then go around here and lift her up this way, and he's able to like visualize these things in his head that I don't know where they come from. It's amazing. He's able to generate movement just like that.
I think partly because he is and was one of those dancers that could do anything, from any style, anything that was asked of him, he could do. And I feel like that's also expected of his dancers.
My first experience basically coming to San Francisco, I was cast in one of the pieces for a summer school program. But immediately, it's like the first 5 minutes of dancing with Robert, I was like, this is totally different. It's like how my body always wanted to move, I just didn't know that until I sort of met him.
He always says he has urban épaulement. There's something very urban about it. It's a fusion of a lot of different genres of dance.
It's new, it's old, it's, has roots in street dance and African dance and classical dance and all kinds of things, really in this beautiful whirlpool.
It's like all the training I've had for years and years and lots of classical technique mixed with sort of the more, I guess, street forms of dance that I've also had experience with. And then there's certain aspects of his movement that are things that I've never even encountered as a dancer. And all of those together, that makes up Robert's style.
He, often says, oh, that looks too modern dance. So he doesn't really like to think of himself as a classical modern dance choreographer. I don't think. I think he likes to think of his work as dance.
So it's like you have to take everything you've known and things that you don't know anything about yet and try to put those all together and make it work.
I mean, he has definitely certain stylistic things, but you can never get too comfortable. He always wants to take it to the next place with the next work. Each time we come back and make a new piece, he wants to do something he's never done before.
I have just always really, really loved his work. I've appreciated the kineticism, if that's a word, just this amazing kinetic energy that I think that he's able to create on stage.
I mean, it's hard to explain. You have to really see it to understand. I mean, it's definitely a very athletic form of movement.
Robert's work is extremely athletic and challenging. It's, it can be virtuosic at moments. And that's exciting, exhilarating, keeps the audience interested, in my opinion, and is fun.
His style of movement is very different than what I'm used to. It's like very segmented in a way.
Move your feet this way and then do your arms a whole other way, So yeah, I feel like it's both physical and mental exercise that I'm getting every time I'm in rehearsal.
It's always exciting to see what he throws at us.
And it's incredibly challenging to do. It's very technical. And yet it has a real rhythmic quality to it. It's very full body.
The way he teaches and choreographs, you see his training and his history through his movement. And then he puts that on you, and you can never really do exactly what Robert did, but you try to do the best you can, and you have to make it your own.
As I recall, it was shocking to go into rehearsal because it wasn't like class at all. It was about 10 or 20 times more intense.
What's unique about Robert is that some people get the idea of content, but then it's not interesting to watch. He always has meaning behind his movement and his work. It's always content driven, which is extremely important to me.
I think that he does pieces about real issues and real people.
It's just so honest. As a dancer in the studio, when I'm watching it, I never feel like I'm being manipulated, but that he's really just trying to share something, illuminate something, have an exchange.
There's a lot of passion involved in his work and his movement.
He has such a wide interest in movement and people and humans that is also comes across in his work.
That is what I absolutely love and adore about Robert's work, is that you can just get so emotionally lost in things. You know, even if it's a work that's not about something super specific, you can still get passionate about the relationships that he's creating.
And then his work really just really speaks to me. I think it speaks to humans. I think it is very heartfelt without being, you know, too heavy-handed or cheesy, you know, for lack of a better term. It just is. It is a nice balance, and yet it's, you know, it's from the heart, and it can be very dramatic.
I'm also not used to working with a single choreographer.
So with Robert, I feel like he's more of the driving creative energy force. You know, he has the ideas, he gives us the movement. He asks us to kind of bend the rules a little bit and kind of give our own interpretation, but I feel generally he's more like the leader and we're his subordinates.
In my life, a lot of people want me to move, you know, the way I naturally, you know, would move. And with Robert, he's very, very specific about what he wants, you know. It's very, you know, this arm here, this arm here.
I believe in him, so I want to follow, you know, and make his ideas happen. As opposed with the other side, like when you have so many different ideas, sometimes one of your ideas doesn't make it to the table. Sometimes, you know, there could be arguments. It's just a different type of process as this, and this one feels a lot more smooth.
One of the challenges can be that he doesn't always tell you exactly what he wants.
50% of it is very clear and makes perfect sense to me and feels good on my body. And the other 50% is extremely challenging and I can't wrap my brain around it and I can't understand what he's looking for.
One of the hardest parts about working with Robert, I think, is that no one else is in his own head. He has a brain that is flying at 1,000 miles an hour. It's not a brainstorm, it's like a brain typhoon. And as a dancer, it's so hard to keep up with where he is. It's like flashes of lightning that, you know, like, to keep up with him, it's a little bit difficult, but in the end, it always works out.
He really has an intuitive way of following the artistic needs, you know. He has ideas in his head about what he wants to have happening with a particular piece. And he doesn't necessarily say that to us. He doesn't necessarily, you know, start rehearsal saying, I've had a vision that this piece should go in this direction or that direction, or that this piece should be about something or not about, you know. He kind of tends to just come into the room and just work and not necessarily clue us into this background.
So I think that can be challenging for a lot of people, that he doesn't always tell you, or he'll show you something one time and say, okay, do this, that, this, that, and, you know, someone new might be like, what is he talking about? You know, and we might feel that way too, but you just kind of go with it. And again, if it's not right, he'll say, no, that's not what I wanted, or you know, let me clarify.
And I think he likes that. My impression is he likes that because then we don't necessarily give him what he wants. It leaves room for us to surprise him. You know what I mean? Because I think sometimes if he gives us too much information, we'll just keep trying to do that. And I think maybe he wants to stay open to discovery.
The way he creates a dance, to me, actually, I don't think it ever becomes clear until I'm actually performing it.
But you never know what it is in the beginning. It's always something, you know, very, very new and original, and then it gets sort of like madness, and then you get why that's the way he did it.
That's another thing with Robert, is that he's always changing things, always adding more. We'll be, you know, tweaking things until the last moment, and probably up until dress rehearsal and even after. So that can be very nerve-wracking for a performer, but you just, you know, you go with it, and you have to hope and know and trust that he's, you know, doing it for the best final outcome.
With him, it's you never know from one day to the next what you're going to be doing. And that I find just really interesting.
How would I describe him? Oh my goodness, indescribable maybe? I mean, he's an amazing artist, and he's definitely, I mean, there are some times, and I know we all feel this, you know, he will be doing some material like in his jeans and his sneakers, and I mean, he just looks beautiful, and we're like, oh, I'm sorry, wait, we were supposed to be learning that.
I feel so lucky to be doing what I do and in that room with him specifically.
I mean, I think it's the most rewarding thing just to be able to execute exactly what it is that he is looking for. And you know, whether you're in the studio or if you're on stage and you look over and you can see that he's happy with it, you know, and that's the most rewarding thing.
They want to get it exactly the way that he sees it, because we all know, you know, there's something up there that none of us, you know, like have any idea what it is, and we just want to like allow Robert to get to where he wants to be. We all believe in Robert, you know.
But my only complaint is that I want more. It's so good that I want more.